welcome. Wow, isn't it amazing? I did my first balancing pose after a couple of months, and here you are, it's just the third day and you're on to your balancing poses. That's wonderful. So why do we do the balancing pose in the first place? And you have probably seen yogis doing the balancing pose at all times, standing on one leg and one leg in the air and the other hand trying to grab hold of that leg and doing all sort of weird contortions. So why do we even need to go there? It's very simple. An average human being is bombarded by thoughts every day in and out, even at times when we don't need to think of those thoughts. Say for example, you are on a vacation, a beautiful vacation which you waited all year to go through, and there you're sitting on the sandy beach thinking of what's going on in the office, and if you're going to get a call from someone in the office, or what's going on with your family, or what's those strange noises you've been seeing in your car for several days now. So that's what happens to us. When you do these balancing poses, they help bring all your attention and focus to crystallize into one place, just like that. And the balancing pose, the purpose of that is that when someone is trying to do a pose, the more harder it is, they don't have time to think of any other extraneous thoughts. They're focused on getting that pose right. So for a brief moment, all your attention and focus is direct towards getting that pose right. This is exactly why you do the balancing poses. Now, when we do the balancing pose in the beginning of the yoga practice, which means that you're setting your intention to get the poses right to the rest of the practice. So right after sun salutation, we always introduce the standing balancing poses. So today, let's dive into the standing balancing poses without much ado. Like as before, I'll go ahead and demonstrate one pose. Please take a look at it, then we'll do it together. All right? Perfect.
Peace and joy are innate qualities of the soul. But it is through meditation that we create the conditions that allow them to blossom.
Okay, so you've seen how I did this. So let's do it together. First thing while doing a balancing pose is, more than the pose, it's the fear of falling people have. They have this inordinate fear that they'll fall off and injure themselves. That is something which is ingrained in each one of us. So it's alright, okay to have that fear. First thing to do is to realize that the wall is your best friend. Which means, while doing this pose, just for the very first few times until you get over that psychological thing of falling off, always go back to the wall, stand with the back to your wall. Or do this, stand with the wall next to you, so that even if you fall off, you know that you can always rely on the wall to hold you up. Or once that's done, half the job of fear of falling is taken care of. You know that the wall is there to support you. So please always use the wall. First, please come up yourself with a stable. Come into a mountain pose, equally balanced on both the feet. Now slowly we'll start with the right leg. We'll lift the right leg, which means that we'll go ahead and ground the left leg. Make sure your left leg is pointing straight, the toes are pointing straight. There is no any angling happening here. It's always pointing straight. Once that's done, gently lean onto your left leg. Let the grounding happen. Let our entire body lean on your left leg, let the grounding happen. Once that's done, There are three steps, the three easy, medium, and advanced versions of tree pose. First step is bring your leg. It's called the knee stand. Just bring it here. Just stay here as long as you want to. If you have the fear of falling off, you can just stay here. Probably this is what that works for you in the beginning. So gradually, as you keep doing this pose, once you know that you have enough balance, then you move on to the higher level. That's called cycle stand. You can move up here. See this? You can move up here. And once that's done, when you're comfortable, you can always move up to the complete expression of this pose. It's called the tree pose, Vrikshasana. So bring up your hand here, and if there's a lot of toppling, balancing happening, that's perfectly fine. Especially for me, since I'm talking. So a lot of toppling is happening. That's perfectly fine. Know that the wall is behind you. Okay, once that's done, bring yourself up. Bring yourself up into full expression of the pose. So once you have reached the pose, you can always straighten yourself. Please remember the Sushumna, that is the core line should always be straight. The third commitment, let it be straight, and see if you can bring your hands to touch your ears so you're straight like an arrow. So you have reached your tree position, and you can stay here as long as the balance permits, or you can always remove the pose and come off, just stick to the knee stand or lean against the wall and do this pose. But this is the expression of the tree pose. And one thing you have to remember here is that focus plays a main role in staying in this pose. That is, make sure that you're looking at equidistance. Focus your attention on some object right in front of your eyes. So the focusing is what that helps you stay in this pose for a longer time. You can stay here for a couple of breaths. If you're still on knee stand, that's perfectly fine. Stay in your knee stand, do a couple of breaths. But whatever you do, please make sure that you do not bring your leg to stand on your knee. So that should not be done at any point of time. Remember, if you look at this, your leg should never be on the knee, because two bones, your upper bone and your lower bones, are being joined, fused at the knee, and you don't want to put any pressure on your knee. So it should always be here. Now I have a fabric problem. I have a problem of the fabric, hence I usually like to pull up my pants a little bit higher to allow me to do that. Bring your hands, and once you're done, relax, and gently come out of the pose. So there you go. So that's your tree pose for you. A lot of balancing, imbalance happens. You'll be like a leaf going back and forth in the wind. That's all right. That's exactly how you master this tree pose. It's about bringing your thoughts together. Okay, so if you've seen how you do it, let's complete the other side. Same thing on the other side. This time, stand up straight, root or ground your right foot, and gently come up into the knee stand. Knee stand is perfectly fine. Please remember that there is no hurry to go back to the full tree pose. It takes probably a couple of months. For some people, it's even years to get to the full expression of the tree pose. If you're standing here, that's perfectly fine. That's still a balancing pose. Stay here and gradually start moving up, and finally you move up to this pose at some point. And always please remember that there's a wall behind you, so there should be no fear of falling off. And breathe. Take your arms forward. What kind of a tree are you? Take your arms all the way to the top. And use this time to pull up your, imagine someone is pulling your hands from the top. This makes you stand up straight like a needle. And there's still some wavering happening, that's perfectly fine. That's why this is called a tree pose. As a tree, it can be of imbalance, but you always come back to where you're standing. Okay, release. So that's the Vrikshasana or the tree pose. So once you've seen one balancing pose, let's move on to the second balancing pose. It's called the eagle pose or the Garudasana. So what this pose does is, again, come up to stand straight. When you take your feet at equidistance, here you may have to just, again, please be sure to have the wall behind you just to give you that psychological edge. Gently bend your knees. You've seen what I'm doing. Bend your knees. Let your body hang freely. Now this time we'll start with the right leg. Now the leg which wraps around your other leg, the same hand should wrap around the hand on the other side. So gently stretch your hands forward. Gently bring your right leg to wrap around your left leg and lock it in place. Once that's done, bring your right hand over your left hand to lock it in place. And stand here straight. Straighten your core line. Now you're an eagle. When you're an eagle, your focus is always straight. Even if you're 1,000 meters high up on the sky, you can always look at the prey and pounce on it. Let your focus be like an eagle. Focus on a single point. The focus is what makes you stand here probably the whole day. And you can straighten your core, watch for your breath, make sure you're breathing hard, your core, and let's have a big smile on your face. When you're ready, release. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. The eagle pose. Again, bring your feet equidistance and gently bend at your knees. The bending is what that allows this leg to wrap up on the other leg. When you're ready, wrap it up, lock it in place. This time, the left hand. Gently release. Relax. So that's eagle pose for you. So the two standing poses we have covered it today. Practice this as much as you can. If you fall off, that's perfectly fine, which means that your body is finally learning how to work with you. So it's all about falling off. Please fall off as much as you want. Do have wall next to you to give you that psychological edge. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email.
Welcome to your life lesson of the day. So today we'll talk a little bit about food and nutrition, the importance of eating right, and the 3 rules of eating well. In my previous job as a marketing director, I was required to visit doctors' offices frequently to sell my product. This one office, I'm sitting in the waiting room for the doctor to give me his time. There's a big slogan displayed on the wall. It said, 25% of what you eat keeps you alive. The other 75% keeps your doctor alive. How amazing is that? And it's a doctor saying this. So what the slogan indicates is the importance of us eating right and the role food keeps in a place in keeping us healthy, not having to go around doctors, not running around hospitals all through our life. Now, yoga has a very big chapter on food itself. It has a lot of books on food, the importance of eating right and what foods constitutes a good yogic diet. If you have a chance, do Google yogic diet to get an idea of what foods to eat, what works for you. In brief, what it means is that you have probably seen for yourself. Some foods when you eat, they make you feel very energetic all through the day. Some foods when you eat, they make you dull and lethargic all through the day. And some foods, they downright make you feel discomfortable and your day goes for a toss. The entire day is out of sync. You probably noticed that from your own experience. The science is very simple. When you provide good manure to your plant, what happens? The plant becomes healthy. When you provide low-grade manure or unhealthy soil to your plant, it becomes stunted. You've probably seen that. The same happens with our body. Your body is what you feed it. For that to happen, for us to get a detailed understanding of what foods works for you, let's take a quick look at our digestive system. In brief, our digestive system is very simple. It has the basic functionality is very simple. You put some food in your mouth, it gets mashed up and it reaches your stomach. There, the food is separated according to its nutritional content. Your body produces enzymes or digestive juices which mash the food up further and separate it. Your stomach lining has the ability to absorb the nutrition in the food and all the necessary things that's necessary for your body. It's taken into the bloodstream, and the rest of the food which is of no use, that becomes your body waste and it's expelled out of the body. It's very simple. That's the basics of food. Now, when you put different foods, when you intake different foods, you'll be amazed how different the process becomes. Certain foods, for example, certain foods such as when you take foods with high fat content, such as whole milk, red meat, cheese, and certain nuts. So what happens is your food goes into the stomach and it doesn't get digested easily because it's hard to break. Your stomach has to produce extra chemicals and additional work. There's a great turmoil that goes in your stomach just to break it down. So your food ends up staying in your stomach for close to 48 hours to complete the whole digestive process. Now, certain foods, for example, whole grains, green leafy vegetables and fruits and water, they get digested immediately. Your body absorbs what it needs and it's sent out in a matter of 2 to 3 hours because the food is highly digestible. So this is the difference. Now, based on what you eat, that's how your body turns out to be. So the whole idea is simple. You take your food just for the reason you need nutrition out of it. Once that job is done, the food needs to get out of your body, needs to get out of your gut. So your fundamental eating should revolve around how much time the food stays in your gut. The more time it spends, it becomes a poison, creating unease and havoc into your system. If you look at what's happening around the world, all the diets and everything, entire your dietary system or eating habits revolve around these three things, around this entire philosophy which we just discussed about. People go veganism and all these things which you hear, vegetarian, veganism, eating light foods. It's for the simple reason you want to eat foods which is light on you, easily digestible, and they get out of your system. Based on this, there are 3 rules which have been developed. Once you follow these 3 rules, you can be assured of healthy long life, highly energetic, and you would probably not see a doctor ever again if you follow this precisely and correctly. It all comes down to eating right. When you eat right, your body works harmoniously. So let's dive into these 3 rules and see how they can, and see what difference it can make to your life. The 3 rules of eating right. The first rule, first thing when you get up in the morning, before you have your breakfast, before you do anything at all, get 1 liter of water. If possible, mix some lime or honey into it, a spoon of honey in it, and down it everything in the same sitting. So what happens here is, when you down that 1 liter of water into your system, it has a way of flushing down all your toxins, all the impurities that are generated in your body in the night. It's something as simple as declogging your drainage, right? When you remove that, the plug, all the drainage gets drained out. So the first thing is, drink a liter of water in the morning. That's the first rule of eating right, and you will see the difference it makes to your body all through the day. The second rule of eating right, ensure that the food you eat is highly nutritious most of the time. For example, you eat, say, junk food all the day, your body is looking for nutrition in the junk and it ends up absorbing only junk into your body, and eventually your body becomes a junkyard. Simple. That's a simple biology what we just saw in the digestive system. So you have to be self-aware. Your stomach has a limited capacity. That limited capacity, either you can fill it with junk or you can fill it with highly nutritious matter. Now, there will be cravings. Obviously, you want to have a little bit of junk every once in a while. That's perfectly all right. The important thing is to make sure that the majority of your food groups, what you have, is highly nutritious. A little bit of junk is okay. End of the day, the majority wins. So you'll be healthy. It's as simple as being self-aware. Before you put anything into your stomach, remember, what food you eat becomes a part of you in a very soon. It goes into your bloodstream. So you want to take a look at your food, see if it has any nutritional aspect in it. Does it have any nutritional benefit in it? How will this act when it goes into my body? So that's the first thing, be self-aware at all times. Now, you wouldn't put poison into your food for a very simple reason, that you will have disastrous effects immediately. For the same reason, you want to be self-aware of what you eat. The third rule of eating right. If in the morning, if you eat one of those foods from heavy food groups, which we just spoke, morning is okay, afternoon is okay, because your body has sufficient time to break it up if you have to. But in the night is the most important area of the day which you need to be careful of. So what it means is that sometime have your food early, have your supper or dinner early, and make sure that you eat very light. Maybe it's just a bowl of oatmeal, a bowl of salad, or just fruits, a bowl of fruits. But important thing is to eat right before you go to bed. So what this does is, whatever you eat gets out of your system as soon as possible. So these three constitute the fundamentals of eating right. When you absorb these three rules of eating right, you will see a dramatic change in how your life behaves, how your body acts, how it gets activated immediately, how energetic you feel, and you will see that you will be making less stress, you'll be making no trips to the doctor. So the three rules of eating right, I hope you get to follow it, and just try it for 1 month. See how much difference it makes to your life. So please let me know how this works on you. I look forward to your feedback.